Hello, welcome to my podcast. My name is Glenn, and as you can see, I'm a hairy little fella because I'm a yobbo. Anyway, I'm recording this as well on Anchor Podcast. So if you want to listen to this, go to Anchor, and you can join and start your own podcast, or you can learn and listen to a lot of people who have a lot of podcasts on a lot of different subjects. Most of them only make one or two podcasts, which is really bad because you need to not be like me and make more than one. Okay, so this is the Anchor Podcast. Beautiful, isn't it? Very simple. So, a lot of people are talking about Ukraine. Oh, Ukraine. And people are going, oh, is Russia going to invade Ukraine? Russia's going to invade Ukraine. Russia's invading Ukraine. Russia's going to invade Ukraine. And they're amassing 100,000 troops on the border. 100,000? You think that's enough? Considering, I think, Russia's population is 140 million. Ukraine is about 60 million, so about half. Even though Russia has nukes, I think the Ukraine could be a good match for Russia. You know, this is not what the Russians did to Poland, the German, Russia, double adapter. You go one way, we go the other way. The Poles will go, oh, we're back to the wall. The Russians are not going to invade us, so we'll do a counterattack against the Germans. And the Russians are going, oh, no, you're not gonna do that. We're gonna shaft you. Even though we're all Slavs, we're commies and you're not. Ha 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 ha. So, what is Australia's perspective on the tension between Ukraine and Russia? It's been going on for 8 years since the former president, whatever his name is, got ousted in a popular coup. A lot of people saying, oh, that was CIA, FBI instigated Mr. Bean uprising, to get rid of, president who was very popular with Russia. Yeah. But, those type of uprisings are popular. You got the Czech Velvet Revolution. You got the when the Americans went in, the Iraqis were actually quite jubilant at the start, but then it just went downhill because the Americans didn't take control correctly, so it went downhill then. So a lot of people actually toppled. They were happy when the Saddam Hussein statues got toppled, but now they're not. Okay, more peaceful revolutions. You got the Polish peaceful revolution that happened. Sorry, just got a little bit of a sore. And, you got... They try and have peaceful revolutions in Thailand, protests, but generally the military gets involved. And the military pretty much cracks down and on the uprisings. And then you got, it happened in East Germany. And basically it happened because, the peaceful protest, because the military said, nah, we're not getting involved. When the military gets involved, as we've seen in Burma, that's when the problem happens. Because, they just crack down on the protests and they kill lots of people, like they did in Burma. Have a look at Burma. Burma's turned into a civil war. The people were going, nah, this is the last time you're going to crack down and kill lots of protesters. We're just going to kill you and try and overthrow you. Oh, beautiful. This is lemonade. Because after 12 o'clock, I don't drink coffee. But when it comes to the Ukraine, The Russians were not happy with overthrowing their pro-Russian president. They installed a president that was pro-West, and Russia was not happy with that. So Russia has made some demands, like trying to get NATO to agree never to allow the Ukraine to join NATO. But considering how Russia has treated Ukraine, I reckon there's more reason for them to join. This is the reason why the other countries in Eastern Europe join NATO. So, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, because there is no trust with Russia. And as we've seen with Moldova, we've seen with Georgia, we've seen with Ukraine as well in the past, and also Finland in 1940, 1940. The Russians just wanted to go in there and take territory, and that's what they've done in Georgia and Ossetia, Abkhazia. Now I reckon all ethnic groups should have independence, but the Russians don't allow their ethnic groups to have independence, but then they demand that other countries do it as well. So it's been pretty much hypocritical. They crushed the Chechen uprising, but the South Ossetia one, oh yeah, we'll help them. Yeah, why not? But how about the North Ossetians? Can they have independence as well? How about the Kalmyks? Can they have independence? How about giving independence to Tanu-Tuva? Yeah, no, you're not going to do it. So, to avoid ending up like that, they join NATO. Because they know the Americans are not going to try and divide up their country. Neither Germans. Germans learnt their lesson with World War II. They're not really interested in being world aggressors. They'll just use their economy for that. France, France and the British are pretty arrogant. So, that's why they join NATO, and that's why other countries, I reckon eventually Belarus, when they get rid of their president, eventually they will, they'll probably want to join NATO. Because, even they've had problems with Russia in the past. And Georgia wants to join NATO, Armenia, just so many. But I think they should kick Turkey out, NATO, then bomb them. That was a joke. Anyway, but you could understand. So my political fictions. Okay, so what is Australia stands? Well, Australia doesn't really have much dealings with Russia or the Ukraine. So and we're pretty far away, so we should be pretty neutral. We do have a few people more of Ukrainian background than Russian in Australia. But in this regard, Australia is going to take Ukrainians. We're going to support Ukraine because the Western countries, Germany, the UK, I don't know about Germany, the UK and all that, the United States, have backed the Ukraine, and we like to kiss ass. So we're just going to support whatever the United States or the UK does, irrespective of what the population believe. That's just the way our political system is. The two major parties, Labour and Liberal, are that way. They will support the United States, United Kingdom. Doesn't matter who's in power. Even, I'm not too sure. The Greens will probably be neutral. I don't know what their stance is on the Russians. But generally the Greens are pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel. I wouldn't say they're anti-Jewish. That's stupid. They're anti-racism, so they can't be. But, Australia is just going to take the side of the United States and support Ukraine. Now, whether we send anything that they can use in combat, I don't think so. We don't have the resources to do that. Our Air Force is quite small. Our Navy pretty much is just there to protect Australia's borders. So it's probably a bit stretched. Our army is, 30,000 soldiers, and they're probably struggling to get recruits. Well, when I applied 10 years ago, they were struggling to get recruits. My brother, I think he applied like 15 years ago, and they were also struggling. So they always struggle because majority of people just don't want to serve in the armed forces. And the pay is quite low for, what you need to undertake and the dangers. So Australia is probably not likely to lend support. I don't think the United States or UK want to directly get involved, so Australia is not going to directly get involved in Ukraine. So the only thing that the West can do is supply arms. The US is pretty tired, from the problem they had in Iraq, from the problem they had in Afghanistan, and there also could be that if Russia did invade, they have to overcome the Ukrainian military. And in 2014, when they took Crimea, they were like, "Oh, we don't want to fight. We don't want a war." And then after that, they had the eastern part of Ukraine try and succeed. They try and crush it, but then Russia just rushed in supports. So it's a stalemate. But the Ukrainians have had a lot of training in the conflict, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Russians invaded. They would have what would they have? A guerrilla warfare? Anyway, they would set traps, and unless the Ukrainians, fold pretty quickly, if they really wanted to fight for their homeland, like the Afghans did, it doesn't matter who it was, Taliban or whatever, they still continue to fight for their homeland. And Afghanistan's going to be in a perpetual civil war because that's just the way the country's been going for the past 50 years. The Northern Alliance will be back. But anyway, we're getting a bit off track. The Ukrainians will probably put up a guerrilla warfare, even though the Russians might have cities. So we'll just need to see how that plays out. Because, Ukrainian military is probably a match for the Russians. The Russians probably could overcome them eventually. But, it's going to take a lot of resources, and even if they did, they probably couldn't pose a problem to anyone else for quite a while. Anyway, that is what I think is going to happen in Ukraine and Australia's role in it. I don't think we're going to have much of a role at all. Anyway, let me know what you think down below, and have an awesome time. Thank you.